Kandi recently opened up and revealed what really went down when it came to Sheree and Marlo, and the details she shared gave fans a much deeper look into the behind-the-scenes moments. When Kandi started talking, she went straight into her thoughts about Sheree and the launch of She by Sheree. For years, fans have been waiting and watching to see Sheree finally get her clothing line off the ground. It has been one of those storylines that keeps coming back, with people wondering if it will ever truly happen. Kandi admitted that she, like everyone else, really wanted to see Sheree win after all these years. When the fashion show actually came together while filming, Kandi and the other ladies were all super excited. It was a moment many had been waiting on, and it finally seemed like Sheree was about to have her big victory. Kandi pointed out something that many viewers may not have noticed about that season's finale. She said one reason Andy Cohen called it the best finale was because, for once, the women weren't arguing. That finale was packed with drama, yes, but it was drama centered around Sheree, her fashion show, her relationship, Apollo making an appearance, and everything happening around her. But what stood out was that the ladies themselves didn't fight with one another, which rarely happens. Kandi explained that when she looked back, it felt refreshing to have a finale that was strong, entertaining, and emotional without being filled with the usual shouting and back-and-forth arguments. That in itself made it feel special. Even though Kandi and the others were rooting for Sheree, she admitted there was one big disappointment that came with the whole She by Sheree launch. She said she truly believed Sheree should have had all of her merchandise ready and available the moment the finale aired. In her mind, this was Sheree's big commercial. People were already buzzing about it during the season, and if she had items ready to purchase, fans could have been buying them for months leading up to the big fashion show reveal. Instead, it seemed like things weren't prepared the way they should have been. Kandi was open about saying that she, and many others, were left frustrated because the excitement was there, but there was nothing ready for fans to actually support and purchase. Kandi laughed as she remembered being ready with her own credit card, prepared to buy something the night of the finale. She thought Sheree had months to pull it together since filming had wrapped earlier in the year, so there had been plenty of time to prepare. For her, it was a missed opportunity. At the same time, she made it clear that she and the others weren't trying to clown Sheree or drag her down. Instead, they were honestly cheering her on, but they felt disappointed when the moment didn't play out the way it should have. Kandi said they loved seeing Sheree have her big moment and loved the finale overall, but the lack of actual products for fans to purchase took away from the celebration. Things became even more interesting when Kandi brought up how much her own show, Speak On It, was included during that season. She joked about how many clips from Speak On It made it into the Housewives episodes. She said she was sitting there thinking that Bravo might as well have given her show its own episode with how much they used her commentary. But at the same time, she appreciated the support because the visibility helped her YouTube page and gave more shine to her platform. She laughed about it, saying people seemed to have a lot of feelings about Speak On It, but she was happy for the recognition. Kandi then moved the conversation back to Sheree. She revealed something that really bothered her about what Sheree had said in the past. Sheree had suggested that Kandi doesn't help people, and that hit Kandi in a personal way because she takes pride in helping others in big and small ways. She explained that she often posts people without being asked, supports different causes, donates through her foundation, and tries to uplift others, both in public and behind the scenes. To hear someone she had actually helped say that she doesn't support people was upsetting to her. Kandi broke down all the ways she had personally tried to help Sheree over the years. She reminded people that she had gone out of her way to connect Sheree with agents, jobs, and even opportunities in television. At one point, when Sheree wasn't on Housewives for a couple of seasons, Kandi was the one who tried to help her find another project to stay relevant and in the public eye. She told the story of how she and her husband Todd sat down, brainstormed, and even pitched a show idea for Sheree to keep her career moving. They met with contacts, put together one-sheets, built a reel, and even shot a pilot. Kandi said they did all this with good intentions and with no cameras around, simply because they wanted to help. However, when it came time to actually move forward with that project, things didn't work out as planned. According to Kandi, Sheree started to act up and make demands when production was finally ready to begin. She and another person involved began asking for more than they had originally agreed to, and that caused problems. The network decided they didn't want to deal with the drama, and the project never went forward. For Kandi, it was frustrating because she had put in time and effort, yet Sheree turned around later and downplayed or dismissed the help she had been given. This was why Kandi felt she had to defend herself when Sheree tried to claim she never helps anyone. Kandi said it wasn't about bragging, but about setting the record straight. She knew the truth and wanted the world to understand that she had in fact gone out of her way for Sheree. Hearing Sheree try to twist the story was too much, so she spoke up to protect her own reputation. Then came the topic of Marlo and her emotional monologue. Kandi didn't hold back when sharing her thoughts. She said she wasn't a fan of Marlo's speech at the end of the episode. While she acknowledged that Marlo has been through real struggles and trauma in her life, Kandi felt it wasn't fair for her to constantly use that as a shield for her behavior. She explained that Marlo often lashes out at people, says cruel things, and then expects her past to excuse her actions. To Kandi, this pattern was frustrating because it felt manipulative. Kandi also pointed out that Marlo's monologue seemed rehearsed and not genuine. She explained that after being on the show for so many years and through 13 reunions, she can spot when someone has practiced their lines or been coached to say certain things. She believed Marlo's speech was one of those rehearsed moments, designed to win over fans by appearing vulnerable. Kandi said she could practically hear the advice Marlo must have been given, telling her to open up, share her pain, and play on people's emotions. While Kandi let Marlo have her moment, she admitted that in her mind she knew it wasn't authentic. She described the monologue as more of a performance than a heartfelt moment. In her words, she was just waiting for someone to hand Marlo an Oscar for her acting. Kandi chose not to interrupt because Marlo wasn't attacking anyone at that time, but she couldn't help but see the whole thing as a rehearsed strategy to gain sympathy. For her, it wasn't convincing. The way Kandi talked about both Sheree and Marlo showed that she was being very open and honest about her feelings. With Sheree, it was about frustration, disappointment, and also hurt because she had tried to help her behind the scenes, only to be made out like she never supported her. With Marlo, it was more about recognizing patterns of behavior and not being fooled by what looked like a performance. Kandi has been on the show long enough to see through these things, and she wasn't afraid to call them out. As she looked back on the season and those final episodes, Kandi balanced being supportive with being critical. She celebrated Sheree's big moment, even while being disappointed about the lack of preparation. She stood up for herself when it came to Sheree's claims about not helping others. And she shared her unfiltered thoughts about Marlo's emotional scene, pointing out the difference between genuine vulnerability and rehearsed drama. The honesty in Kandi's words showed just how much she cares about setting the record straight and making sure her side of the story is heard. For her, it wasn't just about television drama but about real relationships, reputations, and how people treat one another. And in the end, what she revealed gave fans a much clearer picture of what really went down between her, Sheree, and Marlo.